Hello, my name is Leo and welcome again to a new day of the Elder Scrolls Arena. It is now, what is it, the 25th of Sun's Dusk? It's Sun's Dusk? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, the last one's something star or something. Anyway, the point is, it's the 25th of Sun's Dusk. And we're fast traveling, which is always great. Yesterday we got quite a bit of stuff done. And oh my god, did I make a bit of coin? Dude, I couldn't believe that Mithril helmet was worth so much. And it was worth so much that I was willing to just sell my other one that I was using and take on that steel helmet, which, to be fair, it had extra endurance, so it's probably actually better off for me anyway. Um, so I got some better armor. I'm pretty pony now. That said, I'm still die like a bitch most of the time. But anyway, so we also got a new mission. So now, what is that mission? We're gonna go to Duncoy Walk, and then go to one of the Brotherhoods, talk to the Thieves Guild, get a note, and come back. So I guess for the time being, turning in that Brynjolf quest to Einmaval is gonna have to wait. Although we have plenty of time. Yeah, we've got tons of time. We could probably go to Einmaval and then go there and still make it in time. But I'll do this one first. I'll do this mission first. So we're gonna slowly make our way there. Now it is of course Monday, so that means that there's a new series of videos. I say new series, it's actually the same as it has been for the past 3 weeks. More Salvador the Gunzerker, so I'm trying to push through the main story. Finally. That way, hopefully, Salvador the Gunzerker will actually be ahead of Axton in the story, which is what he's supposed to be. Because Salvador the Gunzerker is my first reaction to the actual events of the story. Would be silly for my first reaction to be in silence, wouldn't it? So that's why I'm doing that. No real updates yet on the Borderlands 2 loot hunt. It's still just saying the same old message that it was before. Now, a couple of days ago, literally 2 days ago, Saturday, I talked about, I foolishly talked about, no, it wasn't Saturday, it was Friday. Friday, that's right, yeah. I talked about how my Japanese waifu crashed into the front gate of our car park and busted the back of the car. Now it's getting repaired. I say busted, it's just like the plastic bumper is slightly cracked. And the car still hasn't been fixed yet. It's infuriating me. In the meantime, though, I'm using the dad's car. Now the dad's car is a bit different. Oh man. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit of experience of driving Japanese cars. Now, it's not to say that there aren't cars in Western countries that are like this, and things like keyless entry and ignition. It's a standard in a lot of cars now. But this is actually my first experience with keyless ignition. Well, that is actually a stock standard feature of a car. My brother put a keyless ignition into his Holden Commodore because he's a tool, and it allowed him to turn the car on before he was actually in the car. So he could actually turn the ignition on with the actual, the key, the button that you use to unlock and lock the car, which is dumb because you can turn the car on when you're not in the car. Why would you want to do that? So this car, Dad's car, is it is a Daihatsu Move. The car that I was using was a Mitsubishi Pajero Mini, which is actually a pretty decent car. And considering, everyone knows this. Well, there's 2 types of cars in Japan. There's actually 3 types. The third type is super rare. That is, American muscle cars or big ass Dodge Ram trucks. Why anyone would buy one for Japan is beyond me. Actually, no, there's another car that's actually somewhat more popular that falls into that category of overseas cars, and that's Volkswagens. There's actually quite a lot of Volkswagen Beetles and Volkswagen, what's the other one? Golfs. in Japan. I don't know. They're just popular. They're really dumb. Actually, my wife used to have a Volkswagen Lupo. Um, but, you know, these new Volkswagens, they chew through premium unleaded petrol. And considering how expensive a regular unleaded petrol is, um, there's really no need to have a car that chews premium unleaded petrol. That being said, our normal car, the Pajero Mini, does chew through petrol quite quickly. The Daihatsu Move, on the other hand, is really fuel efficient. Like a full tank of gas, which I guess we're talking about maybe 30-40 liters of petrol, which would last us maybe a week, possibly. Because on Tuesdays we do go for about an hour's drive to and back, plus extra driving. So maybe about 3 hours worth of driving in one day. And that pretty much makes we're pretty much empty in 1 week. But this car, well, I haven't had it for that long, so I don't know. But it sort of sounds like it might last for maybe 3 weeks, assuming we don't, you know, do something stupid like sit still and just leave the engine running, because it's cold and we want the heater on. But so yeah, it's really fuel efficient, but there's other differences. Right, so well, let's talk about the keyless ignition. So I mean, basically, pretty self-explanatory. The actual car itself, the actual car key itself, so to speak, it doesn't actually have a key, like an actual metal key that you can put into a lock that opens the door. It's just got the unlock key and the lock key. So the unlock button and the lock button, which is actually kind of scary because the key for the Pajero Mini, actually the batteries ran out on that, so half the time when you press the unlock button it doesn't actually unlock and you gotta physically use the key. You know, obviously you can change the battery, but it's a pain in the butt. So if the battery were to suddenly run out on this Daihatsu Move key, you would have absolutely no way to unlock the car. Or lock the car. Like, no way. Like, at all. Because the only way you can unlock and lock the car is with the button, which requires a battery. But anyway, basically you unlock the car, you get in. You can either keep the key in your pocket or you can put it on the dashboard. Dad usually puts it on the dashboard. I've decided to just keep it in your pocket because that way you don't forget to take it out, which is a bit of a problem. But basically, you keep it in your pocket or you put it on the dash. You have to, obviously the gear has to be in park. You have to hold down the brake pedal and you push the start button. It's a button, and that turns on the ignition. If you push the start button and you're not holding down the brake, it will just turn on the electronics. And I got really confused the first time I did it. Trying to figure out, how do you turn this damn car on? Why isn't it not turning on? Oh, you got to push down the brake pedal. The handbrake also is not a handbrake, it is a foot pedal that you push down to sort of lock into place. Also, well, this is why there's no hand pedal. The car is one of those cars where there's no like middle, you know, like the gap between the driver's seat and the passenger seat in the front. Yeah, there's none of that. It's all just one big long seat, and it's got a little armrest that you can like pull down to have an armrest if you want. So the gear stick is actually mounted on the dash, like in the center lower area of the dashboard. The handbrake, as I said, is a push pedal. Is that it? That's about all that you can find. There's really cool cup holders that are basically little drawers that slide out when you push them. So if you put them away and it's just a smooth dashboard, then you push it, it clicks out and it like slides out this like nifty little beverage cup holder, and then you can just use it as a beverage cup holder. When you don't need it, you push it back in and locks in, and then it's out of the way. It's hella convenient. But anyway, what else? So yeah, keyless ignition. Oh yeah, so here's the problem. I've decided to keep the keys in my pocket, that way you don't forget it. Because here's a hypothetical for you. You get in the car, put the keys on the dashboard, you drive, and the wife actually did this one time. and got into a bit of trouble. So you put the keys in the car, um, and then you, no wait, what did she do? Because you can turn on, that's what she did, now I remember. You can turn on the, you can turn on the car, right? To turn on the car, obviously the keys need to be somewhere within the vicinity of the car, right? But if you take the keys away from the car while the engine is running, the engine will continue to run until you turn it off. So if you wound down the window and threw the keys out the window while you're driving, and then you turn the car off later, you would no longer be able to turn the car back on and you'd be fucked. So what she did, I think Dad had the keys in his pocket and she dropped him off somewhere and then went on her merry way. Luckily, it was just down the road. Um, so she parked the car. Well, actually, as she was driving, there's this weird light that came on, like a key light, which is the thing to say, oh, I don't know where the key is. What the hell's going on, guy? So she stopped, she parked the car, turned the car off to, oh, okay, light's gone. And then she tried to turn the car back on again, and the car wouldn't turn on because the key wasn't there. So she had to call Dad, run down the street, grab the key, and then she could continue on. So in order to stop stuff like that from happening, best thing to do is maybe keep the key on your person, at least the driver's person. But then again, I might make the same mistake. Yeah, but I won't because I'm not that stupid. So probably should have said that. Well, the other hypothetical that I was thinking of probably wouldn't happen. There's no way you can lock the keys in the car, which I guess is a good thing. So if you had the keys on the dashboard, you exit the car, you can't lock the car because the keys are in the car. So I guess in that respect, it's good. Just can't lock stuff in. Well, you can. No, you can't, because if you lock the car while inside, the only way to do it would be lock the car while you're inside the car, then slide out the window, which is really hard to do. I couldn't do it because I'm not physically fit, and why would I do it in the first place? So I guess there's no way to lock your keys in the car, which is great. That said, I usually lock the car with the key anyway, so I've never really locked my keys in the car. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Alright, so, echo mode. No, so it's not called echo mode, it's called echo idle. I think this is it's a terminology just for Daihatsu moves, but a lot of Japanese cars have this. A lot of new Japanese cars are hybrids like this, like electronic hybrids. Anyway, so what echo idle is, it's actually kind of annoying in some aspects. What it is as you're driving, right, the little echo idle light pops up. You stop at a red light, right? When you stop, the car turns off. It turns itself off automatically, right? As long as you've got the brake pedal held down. The moment you let go of the brake pedal when the light goes green, the car will turn back on again and you can be on your merry way. Now, it's a great idea, sure, saves petrol. Now, and I'm getting used to it, so I'm learning how to trigger the turn off and to trigger the turn on at the right time. Because at first it was really awkward, because you parked at a red light. Let's say you're the first car, right, at the red light. The moment the light turns green, normally I would let go of the brake and just go. Hit the accelerator and off I go, right, with no real delay. But with this, when I let go of the brake, the car turns on. I gotta wait for it to turn on, which isn't a long time. It's still a time, and then I can go. So it's a little bit inconvenient in that respect because you can't. I mean, when I was in high school, university, I did do this when I was driving a car. I would actually physically turn the key off at the lights and then turn it back on. I just couldn't be fucked doing it anymore because what's the point, really? Well, I guess it does save petrol, but here's the thing that I know for a fact: when you turn the car on, it does use a little bit more petrol than normal to ignite the car. So, yeah, if you're stuck at a long red light, and I know it's a long red light, I would turn the key off and wait with the car turned off because that would save petrol. But here's the thing. Let's say we're in Japan and we're driving a Daihatsu Move and we come to a stop sign. Or we come to a train line. Now in Japan, train lines basically are stop signs, because you have to physically stop at the train line before progressing on. If a cop sees you, you get in huge trouble. So you come to a stop sign, and you stop. The moment you stop, the car turns off. But then you want to go straight away. So you let go of the brake and the car turns on again and you go on your merry way. So I've stopped, turned the car on and gone in the space of about, 3 to 5 seconds. So in this instance, I've wasted more petrol than I would have than if I had just left the car on the whole time. There is a button to turn Eco Idle off. However, it's located in a pretty hard to actually push area, probably for good reason, because we don't want to accidentally turn it off or anything, but I would like to be able to dictate when it turns off. I'm more than happy for it to auto turn off when I'm at lights, but when I'm at a freaking stop sign, and I'm about to go, I think I've worked it out. If you press it gently, if you press the brake gently, it doesn't trigger. It's only when you push it really hard. So that being said, though, when I'm at a stoplight, I want to stop and go as soon as possible. I have to stop, otherwise the cops will get me. But I don't want to take 5 million years at the stoplight, so I usually brake with some force and then go with some force. But if you brake with some force, you'll turn the car off using Eco Idle. So that's a bit of a pain. But it's an interesting feature. I guess it works wonders for Dad-in-law because he's old and he needs the car is like we talked about cars that have computers, and all cars have computers in them, sure, but this car has, I would say, too many computers in it, because if some of these things fail, the car's not going to run. Like, you can't turn the car on if the ignition computer thingy doesn't work. The car won't turn on. Like, physically turning a key will turn the ignition on. Well, depending on the car, I guess. New cars, maybe not. But anyway, now there's one other thing that I want to talk about. Oh, well, actually, before I move on to that, I'll talk about the pedals. Now, Japanese cars, you know what? I totally segued over my original topic, which was the 3 different types of cars in Japan. Sorry, I totally forgot about that. So the rarest type, like I said, was foreign cars. Mainly, you got your Volkswagens. But I have seen some sports cars. They're very rare, and I have seen at least 3 Dodge Rams. Although why? Because here's the thing: Japanese streets are really, really narrow. Like really narrow. Like a road that you would expect to be a one-lane, one-way only is a two-way traffic road. It is a road where at some points of the road, it is only possible for one car to fit through. At other points of the same road, it is possible to fit 2 cars if they both slow down to a crawl, or if one stops and the other one just creepily, like, they're inches away from each other, and they're both. Now remember, these roads are in the middle of rice fields, so the road is elevated. So if you go too far, if you're, we drive on the left side in Japan, so if you go too far to the left, you will fall down into the rice field and you cannot get back up without a tow truck, possibly a crane. So where both cars are like on the very edge of the road, and there's like an inch between us, and we can just squeeze through. But then, like I said, at other points, there's no way both cars will fit. The only way you can do it if you get, and there's actually a road that's close to our house that has this, where houses usually have like medium-sized like medium height walls, like brick walls or stone walls that go all the way to the road, right? So there's no like yard, there's no lawn. It's just a wall directly on the road. So if there's not enough space, there's no leeway. You can't go into someone's yard or anything. You literally have to, let's say both cars come down and we meet in the middle. Shit, we're not going to make it. One car, and the decision on whose car is this is entirely up to the individuals, but one car has to back up until there's either not a driveway, because it's pretty rude to drive into someone's driveway, but maybe another like T-junction road or another road that they can back into, so the first car can go through and then the second car can be on his way. It's a pain in the butt. The point I'm trying to make here is Japanese roads are small. So as such, and we know this, Japanese cars are pretty small and boxy. So here's the two main types of Japanese cars. One is the one that most people expect. It's your Mazda Demios, it's your Daihatsu Moves, it's your tiny little boxy cars that are fairly tall, and they're like wagons, but they're small, and they are a dream to park. Oh my god, they're so easy to park. Now, the Daihatsu Move also has a rear parking camera, which is really funny. It makes it really easy to park, not that I really need it, but even with the camera, my Japanese waifu still can't park because she never looks at it. She's like, I can't see anything, I don't have any space. Look at the camera, you can see everything. It shows you like a full 180-degree view of what's behind you, and it's really detailed. Like, it's got like lines to show you like how, like the distance between the object and everything. It's so good, but she doesn't use it. She doesn't trust it. Oh, anyway, that's another topic. So yeah, these tiny little boxy cars. Now, obviously, the Pajero Mini is a little boxy car. Mother-in-law's car, which is I think it's a Pajero Junior. It's kind of a similar sort of car. Again, same sort of deal. Little four-wheel drive boxy car. What is it? I guess they're all called wagons because the back door is a back door. It's not a hatch, but it really looks like a hatch, but it's not a hatch. And now the Daihatsu Move, again, it's a little bit bigger, but it's still a smaller sort of car. When I say it's a little bit bigger, the Pajero Mini was a two-door, four-seater car where the two back seats were pretty darn small. This car is four-door and the back seats are somewhat bigger. That being said, it's a bigger car, yeah, but the leg space for the driver, oh my god. Like, the first thing I do when I jump into a car in Japan is put the seat all the way to the back, maybe lean, in the Daihatsu Move I have to also do this, lean the seat back, right, just to give myself the maximum distance, because with the Daihatsu Move, if I'm sitting upright, the steering wheel, the upper area of the steering wheel, literally blocks my view of the speedometer, so I don't see any speed above 40. So I have to lean back so that I can see under the steering wheel so I can actually know what speed I'm driving at. Also, this car is really hard to maintain speed. It's really easy to speed with it. Like the other car, the Pajero Mini, it's a bit of an older car. It's quite easy to, just put your foot at a particular spot and it will just maintain that speed. Now, the reason why I can't do that with the Daihatsu Move leads on to my main beef with this car, which is the pedals are stuck so far out, they've got so small a threshold and are so sensitive that I literally have RSI in my ankles and foot when I drive for more than half an hour. When I drive for more than 10 minutes. Because it's so close to my foot, the moment you touch it, just a tiny little touch, the car just goes off. So it doesn't have any good sensitivity or threshold. Well, the threshold's okay, but the sensitivity is the one. Generally speaking, I would want, the speed limit, which in Japan is 50, let's make it 60 or 70 kilometers an hour, something like that. Or even 100. Let's make it 50 or 60. That if I'm pushing the pedal maybe 25% down it would maintain that speed. If I go maybe 50% down, it would maintain maybe 100, which is the max speed limit. Well, in Australia, I don't know about Japan. But I've never actually gone 100 in Japan. The fastest I've ever gone is 60, because of these damn speed limits. God. But anyway, but no, like, you touch it like 3%, and it's already going over 50, which is the speed limit on most roads. It's a pain in the butthole. On top of that, what was the other thing I wanted to say? The car doesn't have a cruise control, which would be really great if it did, because then I wouldn't have this problem. I could just set the cruise control, put my foot somewhere a little bit more comfortable. But it's an interesting fact. I think it's automatic brakes, actually, because when you drive it, like, the moment you let go of the accelerator, the car just slows down quite quickly. So it's almost like the car's automatically braking. It also tells you when you put it in reverse. This little female voice goes, "Shift lever wa reverse hairimashita," which means the shift lever, the gear stick, is now in the reverse position. It also has, I believe that, in a normal automatic car, you've got your park, you've got your reverse, you've got your neutral, you've got your drive. Usually after that, you've got gear 1 and 2. I believe that's what these are, but in this car, it's got your park, your reverse, your neutral, your drive, and then S, and then B. So, P for park, R for reverse, N for neutral, D for drive, S for suck my penis, and then B for boosh. I don't know what they're supposed to mean, but I'm assuming they function in the same, the same function as 1 and 2 that I never use, because I don't haul large heavy objects or trail or haul long big trailers up mountains or down mountains, for that matter. Maybe that's what it means, but M would make sense. It would. B and S, it doesn't make any sense. Whatever, let's move on. Okay, so what are we going to move on to? The last topic that I want to talk about, which is music. Now, the car has a cool built-in GPS navigation system that I have no idea how to use. I've just figured out how to use the one in the old car, and now I'm slowly trying to figure out how to use this one, which I have no idea, honestly. Now, one thing that was a bit... The old car had a CD player, but that was about it. I would have much preferred to have maybe a thing that played MP3s, or it could play MP3s on disc. I think we did make. I made a CD actually of the Nitronic Rush OST. If you've never heard of Nitronic Rush, it's a cool game that you should Google. It's a free-to-play game, and it's really fun. And the soundtrack on it is like awesome as well. Anyway, but for some reason, some of the songs just wouldn't play in it. It just stopped playing after a while. I only played like the first 3 songs, which is a pain in the butt. But anyway, that's another story. But I pressed the eject button on this thing, and because I was thinking, well, like the whole console where the GPS fits in is this huge big screen for the GPS. I'm like, wait a minute, where do you put your CDs? Because it's CD player, right? She's like, yeah. Well, where do you put your CDs? I'm just like, Dad never listens to CDs. Okay, well, let's press the eject button and see what happens. Then it comes up with a screen saying, draw open, or draw up or down. I'm like, okay, draw open. The entire screen, how do I describe this? Okay, imagine the screen, obviously, in its normal vertical position. Then it sort of comes out, bends so that the screen is facing up and sticking out. And behind where the screen was sitting is where you put your CD in. You can also put in an SD memory card. It's also got a whole bunch of writing that's, MP3, various other formats. And that's when I found out, holy shit, you can put music on an SD card. You can put movies on SD cards and play the movie on this thing. It's also got a built-in TV, but most Japanese things have that too. but, you know, don't really care about Japanese TV. It's also illegal to watch it while you're driving, so it's pointless. But yeah, so I can just dump all my music onto this SD card, which is like 4 gig big, and then like obviously not dump all my music, but dump, you know, stuff I want to listen to, mainly podcasts, and then I can listen to it in the car, which is what I do normally with just my iPod Shuffle, but which is annoying because I use headphones and the wife doesn't understand that I'm listening to something. So if I had it on the actual radio coming out, then she wouldn't keep interrupting my podcast and forcing me to pause. Anyway, but then I took the SD card out and I put a bunch of songs onto it, and then I plugged it in and it wouldn't recognize it. It kept saying invalid format. I'm like, they're MP3s. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. So I know sometimes MP3s aren't recognized, but I put a whole bunch of different MP3s. I put them into different folders. I organized them different. I named them differently, and it just wouldn't recognize any of them. I also found in the glove box. Now it also has a USB or iPod feature. I'm like, oh, okay. So I plugged my iPod Shuffle in there because the iPod Shuffle has the USB connector, and it didn't recognize it. Wouldn't play anything from it. I'm like, God damn it. So, but I did find, yeah, so I found this little USB thing in the glove box that I was using to plug the iPod in. Then I thought about it today. I'm like, wait, why didn't I just put some songs onto a USB stick and then plug that into it? Maybe that would work. Guess what? Totally works. Except, and it's a right pain in the butt. I know what the problem was, but I'll explain what happened. So, plugged it in, turned it on, it worked. And I'm like, great, it's working. Fantastic. I can listen to music. Yes! Finally! Can't do music because music was only on the SD card. But whatever, who cares? I really wanted to watch Attack on Titan while driving. But now I can just listen to the Attack on Titan theme songs. Which is equally as good, arguably. But you really shouldn't listen to that song while driving. That song gets you so super hyped that doing any like thing that requires you to be patient and take your time is really a bad idea. Like, it's great for playing games where you're like running around doing stuff because you get all super hyped and you want to run faster. But if you like need to take your time and do something carefully, it's really not good music to listen to because it's like Japanese Dragon Force that also has German in it about being eaten by giants. Yeah. Anyway, but here's what happened. So we went somewhere. We went out for lunch today, and then we came back. And now the thing's still plugged in, obviously. Turned on the computer. Turned on the car, and the thing said, "I don't recognize that there's a USB plugged in." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's plugged in." Pulled it out. Plugged it back in again. No, sorry, no dice. I'm like, what are you talking about? And it wouldn't recognise that it wasn't working. We got back almost home. We were at the shopping centre. Well, the wife went some grocery shopping. I stayed in the car, and then I'm like, why are you not working? Turned the car off, pulled it out, turned on the car again, plugged it back in again, and it worked. I'm like, okay, so now you're working. Okay, so I'll turn the car off, turn the car back on again while it's still plugged in, not working. I'm like, are you serious? Here's what you've got to do. You've got to have it unplugged when you turn the car on and then plug it in and then it works. If it's already plugged in when you turn the car on, it won't recognize that there's a USB plugged in. How fucking stupid is that? How goddamn annoying is that? So, I mean, well, now at least I can listen to music, which is great. But I mean, I really can't wait for my old car to come back because I really want to not have friggin' RSI on my foot every time I drive. But you know, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, it doesn't take friggin' 9 million years for that car to get fixed. Considering it's only like a rear bumper, it shouldn't really be that difficult. But anyway, that's about it for today. I've friggin' ranted on long enough. So go check out my Borderlands 2 Salvador the Guns Locker video. Now playing on the Leo the Movie 27 YouTube channel, which you obviously knew that because you're watching this video right now. My name is Leo, and I will see you next time.